The same drug, two prices, one system. A brand name EpiPen can run you over $600. A generic epinephrine auto-injector, same active ingredient, same life-saving dose, under $150. That's not a glitch. That's the American prescription drug system working exactly as designed. And the legal machinery keeping those prices apart is something most patients have never even heard of. Patents are supposed to reward invention. 20 years of exclusive rights for the company that brings a new drug to market. That is the baseline under US law. But in practice, that 20-year clock is just the beginning. As the original patent nears expiration, pharmaceutical companies routinely file a series of new patents, sometimes dozens, on minor tweaks, a new coating, a slightly different dosage, a redesigned delivery device, or even a new method for using the same drug. Each of these filings can add years to the life of the monopoly. This is known as evergreening. The mechanics are straightforward. The law gives a drug maker 2 decades of protection from the date they file their first patent on a new active ingredient. But nothing stops them from submitting follow-on patents for changes that do not alter the core medicine. These can include formulation patents, which cover how the drug is mixed or delivered, device patents, which protect an injector or inhaler design, and method of use patents, which claim exclusive rights for treating a new medical condition. Every time a new patent is granted, it can become a fresh barrier for would-be generic competitors. The result is a dense web of overlapping claims, a patent thicket that can make it nearly impossible for generics to enter the market promptly, even after the original patent expires. According to a 2021 analysis published in JAMA Internal Medicine, about 80% of the 50 top-selling drugs in the United States had at least one evergreening patent that extended exclusivity beyond the initial 20 years. The median extension was more than 7 years, with some drugs stretching their protection close to 3 decades. This is not a theoretical loophole. It is a widespread business strategy. The term evergreening may sound technical, but its impact is anything but abstract. Each extra year of monopoly means higher prices and delayed access to lower-cost generics for millions of Americans. As the story unfolds, the real-world consequences of evergreening become clear, especially when looking at drugs like Humira, where the practice has kept biosimilar competition off US shelves for years after it was allowed in Europe. The numbers tell the story. A system built to reward innovation, repurposed to sustain high prices long after the original breakthrough. For millions living with rheumatoid arthritis, Humira is more than a name on a pharmacy receipt. It is the difference between moving freely and constant pain. One patient described it this way: "My doctor says Humira is the gold standard, but at $6,000 for a 2-month supply, I have to choose between my medication and my mortgage. Humira's price tag is staggering. It is about $80,000 per year at United States list prices. Since its launch in 2002, it has generated over $200 billion in sales for AbbVie, making it the world's best-selling drug." But the story behind Humira's dominance is not just about medical innovation. It is about a legal strategy that has kept competitors at bay long after the original patent expired. AbbVie built a fortress of more than 100 patents around Humira. These patents cover not only the active ingredient, but also tweaks to the formula, injection devices, dosing schedules, and even the way the drug is administered. Each new patent added years of protection, creating a thicket so dense that no biosimilar could legally enter the United States market until 2023. And in Europe, biosimilars were approved for sale as early as 2018, but American patients waited 5 more years, paying far higher prices the entire time. The numbers reveal the impact. When biosimilars finally launched in the United States, their prices were 35% to 80% lower than Humira's. Yet for years, patients had no choice but to pay the brand price or go without. The difference was not about quality or safety. The FDA requires biosimilars to meet strict standards for equivalence. They must deliver the same clinical effect as the original drug. The only real difference was the legal wall that kept the competition out. For those stuck on the wrong side of that wall, the financial toll has been devastating. Some patients have drained savings, skipped doses, or rationed injections to stretch their supply. The patent thicket did not just protect profits, it delayed relief for patients and drove up costs for families, employers, and the entire health system. Humira's story is proof that evergreening is not a technicality. It is a business model, and the cost lands squarely on the shoulders of ordinary Americans. A woman with type 1 diabetes says she knows she is supposed to take it every day, but sometimes she just can't afford it, her voice tight with worry. For Americans who rely on insulin, this is an everyday reality. The original patents for human insulin expired decades ago, but the price of a single vial keeps rising. Lantus, a long-acting insulin made by Sanofi, lists at $350 per vial. Most patients need 2 or more vials each month. Even Semglee, an FDA-approved biosimilar that is legally interchangeable with Lantus, comes in only slightly lower, around $290 per vial. At major chains, the cash price for Lantus hovers near $400, and Semglee is rarely more than $50 cheaper. The catch is that the core molecule in these insulins is not new. What keeps prices high are layers of follow-on patents and manufacturing secrets. Sanofi has filed patents not just on the insulin glargine itself, but on the way it is produced and the devices used to inject it. Some of these patents cover the cell lines used in manufacturing, details the company keeps as trade secrets. The FDA requires biosimilars like Semglee to prove they are just as safe and effective as the brand, meeting strict standards for purity, potency, and delivery. Yet the price gap remains narrow, and both are far more expensive than insulin sold abroad. In the UK and Canada, the same vial costs $65 to $80. The consequences are visible in the numbers. About 1 in 4 US adults who depend on insulin has rationed their doses because of cost. For many, that means skipping injections, risking hospitalization, or worse. Legal patent expiry alone does not guarantee lower prices. The system is built to keep competitors out, and patients are stuck paying hundreds of dollars for a drug invented a century ago. 3 companies, CVS Caremark, Express Scripts, and OptumRx, control nearly 80% of all prescription drug benefits in the United States. These pharmacy benefit managers, or PBMS, are the linchpin between drug manufacturers, insurers, and pharmacies. On paper, PBMS are supposed to negotiate lower prices for patients. In reality, their business model rewards the opposite. Higher list prices mean bigger profits for the middlemen. The core of the system is the rebate. When a pharmaceutical company wants its drug featured on an insurer's preferred list, it pays a rebate to a PBM. The size of that rebate is usually a fixed percentage of the drug's official list price. The higher the list price, the bigger the rebate. PBMS keep a sizable cut, sometimes as much as 20 to 30%, before passing on the rest to the insurer. According to a 2023 Government Accountability Office report, rebates now account for an average of 44% of the list price of brand name drugs, but only a fraction ever reaches the patient at the pharmacy counter. This creates a perverse incentive. A lower cost generic or biosimilar that cannot offer a hefty rebate often loses out on preferred placement in the PBMS formulary. The result is that patients are steered toward expensive brand drugs, even when a cheaper FDA-approved alternative is available. For someone paying out of pocket or facing a high deductible, the difference lands directly in their wallet. The Federal Trade Commission opened a formal investigation into these practices in 2022, targeting the big three PBMs and their role in driving up costs. The probe is ongoing, but the mechanics are clear. The system is structured so that every stakeholder, except the patient, benefits from keeping list prices high. The more a drug costs on paper, the more money flows through the rebate pipeline, and the more PBMs profit from the spread. For patients, this means that even if a $50 generic is available, the preferred drug on their plan might still be the $500 brand name version. The financial pain is not a fluke or a glitch. It is the predictable outcome of a rebate-driven system that rewards high prices at every turn. Today, a brand name Humira pen still lists for over $6,900, while FDA-approved biosimilars now sell for less than $1,100. The gap is systemic, not accidental. For every patient forced to choose between health and rent, this is not market failure, it is policy by design. Your wallet feels it. Change demands attention.